Hiring Taryn Voss was supposed to be the responsible decision. That was the irony. 3 days earlier, I'd booked a private winter trail expedition outside Breckenridge after my brother canceled on me last minute. The website called Taryn one of the most experienced backcountry guides in Colorado. The website forgot to mention she was impossible. Keep moving. I am moving. Not fast enough. Snow tore through the mountain trail sideways, visibility collapsing harder every minute. I could barely see the trees anymore, just flashes of white and the dark outline of Taryn ahead of me. I hated how calm she looked. No panic, no hesitation, just steady steps through weather that felt determined to kill us. "You still think this was a good idea?" she called back. "I paid too much money to quit now." "That's the dumbest thing you've said all afternoon." I pushed forward harder. Bad move. My boot slipped deep into hidden snow, and my balance went with it. Taryn turned instantly. Before I hit the ground, her hand locked around my jacket and yanked me upright. Fast, certain. "You done pretending now?" she asked. I slipped. "You stopped paying attention." "I had it handled." "No," she said flatly. "You didn't." Wind slammed through the trees again, hard enough to shake snow loose above us. Taryn looked toward the ridge ahead, then back at me. "You can't feel your hands anymore, can you?" "I can feel them." You looked down before answering. "That means nothing. It means I'm right." She grabbed my wrist before I could pull away. Even through the gloves, her grip felt warm. "Jesus," she muttered. "Your hands are freezing." "I'm fine." "You tourists always say that right before they pass out." "I already told you I'm not a tourist." "You hired a private guide for a winter mountain trail," she replied. "That makes you a tourist." I tried pulling my arm back. She didn't let go immediately. Then, "Cabin's another mile," she said. "You keep up with me." Her eyes locked onto mine. "Or I carry you there myself." By the time we reached the cabin, I couldn't feel my legs properly. Taryn noticed. Of course she did. "You're dragging your right foot," she said as she shoved the door open. "I'm walking." "Barely." I stepped inside first. The cabin was smaller than I expected. One room, rough wooden walls, a stone fireplace, narrow kitchen, one bed shoved against the far wall. Then the door slammed shut behind us. The storm disappeared into muffled noise outside. For 1 second, everything felt still. Then Taryn moved again. Lock, windows, fireplace, fast, automatic. "You always this intense?" I asked, dropping my backpack near the couch. "You always ask questions instead of helping? You seem to have it covered." "I do." She crouched beside the fireplace and lit a match. Orange light spread across the cabin slowly. That was the first time I really looked at her. Dark thermal shirt soaked slightly at the collar. Snow melting against her neck. Sleeves pushed up just enough to expose strong forearms, scratched from branches and cold. She glanced up. "You're staring." "I'm assessing whether I overpaid." "You did." I laughed once. Short, unexpected. She noticed that too. "Take the jacket off," she said. "I'll dry eventually." "You'll freeze eventually." "I'm not freezing." "You're shaking." "I'm cold. There's a difference." "No," she replied calmly. "Not up here." She stood and walked toward me. Not rushed, not hesitant, just direct. Then she grabbed the zipper of my jacket herself. I caught her wrist immediately. "I can do it." "Then why haven't you?" Silence. Close now. Too close for someone I'd only met this morning. "You this controlling with everybody?" I asked. "Only the ones trying to get hypothermia for attention." "I'm not doing this for attention." "Good," she said, "because the mountain doesn't care." Another loud hit of wind slammed against the cabin walls. I looked toward the windows instinctively. Taryn noticed. "That storm's not clearing tonight," she said. "How bad?" "Bad enough that you're stuck here with me." A beat. Then her eyes dropped briefly to my still zipped jacket. "You gonna keep arguing?" she asked quietly. "Or are you finally gonna listen?" The fire had finally caught. Not enough to make the cabin warm, just enough to make it less hostile. Taryn was already moving again, checking corners, inspecting the window seals, listening to the wind like it was speaking a language I didn't understand. "You're over-prepared," I said. "I'm prepared." That's what I said. "No," she replied without looking at me. "You said you're fine." I exhaled. "You're obsessed with correcting people." "I'm obsessed with people not dying on my watch." I paused. "That's dramatic." She turned instantly. "That's accurate." Silence. Then she pointed at my jacket again. "Take it off." I said I'm fine. And I said stop repeating that. I grabbed the zipper myself this time, pulled it halfway down. The cold hit harder than I expected. Taryn stepped closer immediately. "Stop," she said. "I'm doing it." "You're doing it wrong." "I don't need instructions for a jacket." "You do, if you want to keep your body temperature stable." She reached in and adjusted the inner layer without asking. Her hands were quick, controlled, too precise for something this simple. I froze for a second. "You always touch people like that?" I asked. She didn't look up. "No." "Then why me?" Her hands paused briefly. Then, "Because you're not listening." That answer landed differently, not softer, just direct. She stepped back again like nothing happened. "Sit," she said. "I'm not a dog." "Sit anyway." I didn't move. She tilted her head slightly. A challenge, not loud, not aggressive, just certain. "You're still shaking," she added. "I'm not." She walked closer again, close enough that I could feel the heat from her presence more than the fire. "You want to prove something," she said. "I don't need to prove anything." "You do," she replied, "or you wouldn't be standing there pretending you're not cold." I held her gaze, didn't answer, didn't step back. The fire cracked behind us. The storm hit harder outside, and neither of us moved first. "You can keep fighting me," she said quietly, "or you can survive the night." Night didn't arrive slowly on the mountain. It dropped. The fire shrank into itself, fighting to stay alive. Outside, the wind pressed against the cabin like it wanted inside. Taryn checked the lock twice, then the windows again, then stopped moving. "You planning to inspect the entire cabin all night?" I asked, "if necessary." "That sounds exhausting." "It's safer than sleeping through a problem." I leaned back against the couch. "Nothing's happening." "That's when it happens." She walked past me toward the storage cabinet, pulled out a folded wool blanket, then another. "You keep a lot of emergency supplies for someone who's just a guide," I said. "I'm not just a guide." "What else are you?" She paused, just long enough, then, "Alive." I let out a short laugh. She didn't. She tossed a blanket at me. "Wrap that around you." "I don't need—" "You do." I caught it anyway, didn't argue further. The cabin felt smaller now, not because of space, because of silence. Taryn sat on the edge of the opposite chair, watching the fire, not me, but somehow still aware of me. "You always this quiet?" I asked. "No." "Then why now?" She didn't answer immediately. Then, "Because you talk enough for both of us." I smiled slightly. "That's rude." "It's accurate." Another pause. The fire shifted, dimmed. Cold crept in again almost instantly. Taryn noticed first. Of course she did. "You're shaking again," she said. "I'm not." She stood, walked over, and before I could protest, she pressed the back of her hand against my neck. I froze. "Still lying," she said. I caught her wrist this time, not to stop her, just to hold it there for a second longer than necessary. "You do that to everyone you work with?" I asked. "No." "Why me then?" She didn't pull away, didn't move closer either, just stayed there, close enough that neither of us had to raise our voice. "Because you're bad at surviving alone," she said simply. And for the first time, I didn't argue back immediately. The fire had almost given up. Taryn didn't. She dragged another chair closer to the hearth, then pushed it toward me with her foot. "Sit there," she said. "I'm already sitting." "Closer." I looked at her. "You like giving orders. I like results." "That's not what I asked." She exhaled once. "Then don't ask questions you don't want answered." I moved the chair anyway. Just a little, not enough to admit anything, but enough for her to notice. Of course she did. "You're still cold," she said. "I told you I'm fine." "You keep saying that, like repetition makes it true." She crouched in front of me again, this time without asking. Her hands went straight to my gloves. I didn't stop her. That realization hit late. Too late. "You're not even arguing now," she said. "I'm conserving energy." That's new. She pulled one glove off slowly. Warmth didn't come back immediately, just exposure. Then she did the other hand. Her fingers paused briefly against mine. Not accidental, not rushed, just there. "Your circulation's still bad," she said. "I've survived worse. That's not a standard worth keeping." I should have pulled away. I didn't. The cabin felt tighter now, not physically, just aware. "You always this hands-on with clients?" I asked. "No." "Then why me?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked up at me, direct, unfiltered. "Because you don't listen," she said. "That's your reason?" "It's part of it." "What's the rest?" A pause, long enough to feel intentional, then, "You pretend you're fine," she added. I let out a short breath. "I am fine." She didn't react to that, just reached up and pressed 2 fingers lightly against my wrist again, checking, measuring. "Still lying," she said. The fire cracked behind us. The storm hit the walls harder, and neither of us moved away, not even slightly. "You're not afraid of this?" I asked quietly. "No," she said. "Why not?" "Because I know exactly where I am." A pause. Then she let go of my wrist, but didn't stand, didn't step back, just stayed close enough that the space between us stopped feeling like space at all. The storm didn't get worse, it just got quieter. That was somehow worse. Taryn had stopped pacing. I noticed that first. She was sitting now, elbows on her knees, eyes fixed on the fire like it owed her answers. "You always this intense when you're off duty?" I asked. "I'm not off duty." "You are when we're inside." "No," she said, "not when you're still cold." I scoffed. "I'm fine." She looked at me immediately, fast, sharp. "You said that 5 times." "It's still true." "No," she said, "it's still your habit." I leaned forward slightly. "You really don't trust people, do you?" "I trust patterns." "Same thing." "It isn't." Silence stretched. Then she stood. Not slowly, not dramatically, just decisively. Walked toward me, stopped too close. "You want to keep pretending?" she said. "Or you want to fix this?" "Fix what?" She didn't answer with words. She reached out, grabbed my wrist again, pulled it up into the firelight. "You're colder than you were an hour ago," she said. "I told you I'm fine. And I told you to stop saying that." The grip tightened slightly. Not painful, just certain. I should have pulled away. I didn't. "Why do you care so much?" I asked. Her eyes didn't leave my hand. "Because I'm responsible for you. That's your job." "It's more than that." That made me look at her properly. "More how?" She hesitated, just for a second, then, "If you shut down out here," she said, "I don't get a second chance to fix it." Silence. The fire popped behind us. The cabin felt smaller again, not because of space, because of proximity. "You think I'm going to collapse?" I asked. "I think you already are." I stepped closer without thinking. Now there was no buffer at all. "That's not true." She didn't step back, didn't even blink. "Then prove it," she said quietly. A pause. Too long. Too close. Then I did. And she didn't stop me. The fire had burned down to glowing embers. Neither of us added more wood. Taryn stayed where she was. So did I. You're quieter now, she said. I'm conserving energy. That's not why. I exhaled. You always do that. Do what? Act like you know what I'm thinking. I don't act, she said. I observe. Same thing with better branding. A faint pause. Then she stood. Again. Always movement before escalation. She picked up a blanket from the couch and tossed it toward me. I didn't catch it fast enough. It hit my chest. You're still cold, she said. I'm not. You are. Stop saying that. Stop proving it. That landed. Quiet. I pulled the blanket over my shoulders anyway. Didn't argue. That alone changed something in the room. She noticed. Of course she did. You're not fighting me as much, she said. I'm tired. That's not it. I looked at her. Then what is it? She stepped closer. Not rushed, not hesitant, just inevitable. You're starting to listen, she said. That's dangerous? I asked. It is for you. Why? Because you don't like it. I scoffed lightly. You don't know what I like. She stopped right in front of me, close enough that I had to tilt my head slightly to keep eye contact. I know what you resist, she said. That's not the same. It is when you keep doing it anyway. Silence. The fire barely moved. The wind didn't matter as much anymore. You always this direct with people? I asked. No. Then why me? That question didn't get an immediate answer. She looked at me for a moment longer than before. Then, because you don't step back when you should, she said. That's not an answer. It is the reason. A pause. Then I stood. Now we were level, same height, same distance, no excuses left in between. You're crossing lines, I said quietly. I already crossed them. When? She didn't hesitate. When you stopped leaving. That shut everything down. Not loudly, not dramatically, just completely. Morning didn't arrive gently. It just replaced the storm. Light pushed through the cracked window blinds, exposing the cabin in hard clarity. Cold floors, dying fire, silence that didn't feel temporary anymore. I sat up first. Taryn was already awake. Of course she was. Leaning against the opposite wall, arms folded, watching me like she'd been awake for hours. You didn't sleep, I said. I did. That's not convincing. It's accurate. I swung my legs off the couch. Storm's over. Yes. So I can leave. A pause. Then, yes. That should have ended it. It didn't. I stood anyway. Took one step toward the door. Taryn didn't move, didn't block it, didn't stop me. But she didn't look away either. That was worse. You're not going to say anything? I asked. You already decided, she said. That's not what I asked. I know. Silence. The cabin felt different now, smaller in a new way, not trapped, just unfinished. I walked back a step. Yesterday doesn't just disappear, I said. It doesn't, she replied. And you're fine with that? I'm not pretending it didn't happen. That's not an answer. It is the only one that matters. I laughed once, no humor in it. You're impossible. You've said that before. And it's still true. She finally stood, slow, measured, like she was choosing each movement instead of reacting. You want a clean explanation, she said. I want clarity. You won't get that. Why not? Because this isn't clean. A beat. Then she stepped closer, not invading, not retreating, just present. You can walk out that door, she said, and pretend nothing shifted. And you? I'll still be here. That hit differently. I frowned slightly. That's it? That's honest. Silence stretched again. Then I looked at her properly. No more pretending? I asked. Her gaze held steady. No more pretending, she said. And this time, it wasn't a suggestion. It was already decided. The road down the mountain was finally open. Clear tire tracks cut through what was still melting snow. The cabin behind us felt smaller already, like it had never really trapped anything at all. We stood outside it for a moment. Neither of us rushed. Taryn checked her gear once. Habit. I adjusted my bag. Delay. You'll make it back in time? I asked. Yes. That sounded automatic. It is. A pause. Then I nodded toward the trail. So that's it. She looked at me. What do you mean? The job, the cabin, all of it. It was never all of it. I scoffed lightly. You know what I mean. Yes, she said. I do. Silence. Wind moved softer now. Different altitude, different weight. I took one step forward, stopped, turned back. You're just going to act like nothing changed? I asked. I'm not acting, she said. That's not an answer. It is the only one I can give you out here. I studied her face. No panic, no hesitation. Same control she had on the mountain, but not the same distance anymore. You could have stopped this, I said. No, she replied. I couldn't. That sounds like avoidance. It's not. Then what is it? A pause. Long enough that it mattered. Then, it's what happens when you don't step back, she said. I exhaled. You say that like it was one decision. It was a series of them. Silence again. I shifted my bag higher on my shoulder. Are you going to contact me after this? I asked. Her answer came without delay. Yes. That surprised me more than it should have. I narrowed my eyes slightly. Because of the job? No. Then why? She didn't look away. I don't stop things that didn't end, she said. That landed clean. No drama, no decoration, just truth. I nodded slowly. Next time, I said, we don't get stranded. A faint shift in her expression, not a smile, not quite, but something close to acknowledgement. Next time, she replied, you won't need to be carried. I turned toward the road, then stopped again. Looked back once. She was still there, still watching, still not leaving first. And for the first time, that felt like the real answer.